Hello and welcome to Armchair Analysts podcast. This is episode 24. I am Johnny. With me always is
Ace
of Base, big man. Alrighty, quick reminder here: if you're not already following us on Twitter, you can find us at AA Podcast. We post most of the things that we discuss each week, and also every time that we go live with a new episode. Or if you're already following us on any of the many platforms that we're already on. Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, iHeart, all that good stuff. We appreciate the follow, but leave a comment, rate, rank, whatever you can do, whatever that particular medium enjoys. We definitely appreciate it. It goes a long way, and it helps our search rankings when people are looking for us. So
we'll get back to you too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you are one of those people that refuses to have those kind of apps on your phone and you just want to listen through YouTube, we also post all of our episodes on YouTube as well. So, without further ado, I do want to keep Ace made sure that I got right and angry before we recorded here. So my Johnny's Random Rant this week can be as impressive as last week. So we're also going to go with no timer on this one as well, just because my personal relationship with it. So let's just get right into it. So this week, my random rant is about Microsoft and just the moves, the strategic moves they've made in the last, year or so that just have kind of manipulated everyone and kind of had everyone... really what it boils down to is that they're forcing people to kind of bend to their kind of structure that they're looking to have, which is a subscriber, a monthly repeated income structure.
Apple.
I understand, but for people that didn't use Apple and don't follow that structure, this is like a huge slap in the face, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, the thing is, it's one thing to make everybody conform and, force people to do things your way, but when you make it really, really difficult for people to adapt, it was horribly communicated, when the Windows 7 went away and Windows 10 support was the only thing around and Windows 7 was obsolete. I mean, I don't know how many old people, even in my own family, I'm terrified to ask what kind of computers they have now, because it wasn't articulated well. It wasn't conveyed well. If anything, it made it, a lot of scammers a lot more happy because they could just, send fake messages from Microsoft and say, hey, we need this money and we'll upgrade you. So it's just messed up. And Microsoft support's always been just absolutely terrible. So it hits me home personally because I'm a neckbeard. I work in IT, and it's a pain. It's a pain with everything. It's with their software, with just their regular. If you're going through Xbox support, any sort of support is absolutely just terrible. They're just going to send you a link to an article or basically give you the metaphorical middle finger and tell you to figure it out. So
I will say Apple does have a pretty strong or helpful support platform on their site, and I 100% agree. Microsoft, when you look for feedback or any sort of knowledgeable articles or support, it's really brief, and even some of the comments below certain things you're looking for are just kind of wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. What was asked in the initial question at the top of the post or the comment?
Yeah, and it's not going to change anytime soon because everyone's got to upgrade, Microsoft Office every few years. And if you don't, things are just slowly going to break and eventually not work. But it's not going to tell you that. You're just going to have to figure it out yourself. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, we have Outlook for work and MS Teams. And I wish that Teams would sync up with your Outlook calendar just to provide, hey, meetings coming up here with so-and-so. Would you like to just post it on, Teams platform? Because MS Teams is pretty intuitive. I wish I had a say in the matter of switching over to a messaging platform, because I probably would have chose Slack. But obviously with MS Teams, you still get the same features with video and whatnot.
You cannot be a Slack guy, because you gave me crap for using Discord, and Discord is based off of Slack. So,
sorry.
I'm gonna go with. I'm not buying that. All right. That's enough time of that. Anyone who agrees with me, feel free to tweet us and give me some of your horror stories, because I'm sure there are plenty. Moving right along, though, we do want to get a little bit of non-NFL news because that's most of the show. So fair warning for those of you who are not huge NFL fans. But Uh, I believe you want to mention something about a schedule release, maybe?
Yes, I would assume all MLB teams have released their 2020 schedules.
Brewers have.
Obviously, yeah, Twins just the other day,
Only
yesterday,
teams
which
that
is
matter, baby.
oh heck yeah. I mean, obviously without fans it's still going to be a little bit awkward, but the fact that we're going to ideally get some baseball, knock on wood, is a very good sign for the sports world, for a lot of people that just want to take their minds off of all the, crap that's been going on in
For
2020.
real.
It might at least put some sort of happy ending toward the end of the year, kind of cap off this year in general, so to speak. It is what we had mentioned previous, though. Basically, all AL Central and all NL Central teams that we're playing. So we got, gosh, I mean, we're starting the season off against the White Sox. We play the Cubs in like a modified exhibition game on the 22nd of July, but the season officially kicks off for all teams on July 24th. So we play the White Sox, and then we actually play the Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds, and then Pittsburgh. So we're playing a division opponent, but then switch to basically interleague for the next week or so, which is going to be very unique, and I think it's actually going to bring more viewership in across the board. I've advocated for this for a while. I wish that they would play more interleague games throughout the year versus just midway through the season, right before the All-Star break, and a little bit after they'll sprinkle in some of these interleague games. But
I will agree with that 1,000% because
mhm.
basically I can name at most about in midpoint of the season I can name pretty much the starting rotations for all of the divisional teams, and then I don't know anything about the rest of the league. Like
Yeah.
like it's hard for me to even comment on the Twins because I mean, you give me Cardinals, you give me Cubs, you give me Pirate. Like I can, that's fine. I know those rosters inside and out, but
Mhm.
it's like, I agree with you. It is nice to change the pace because, especially, like you said, like it's pretty much, it's kind of bookends. It starts out and ends with typically mostly divisional play, and it's just, it gets kind of old. It gets, I mean, don't get me
Oh,
wrong. It's watching the Brewers finally make the turn and start beating the Cardinals when they're playing, 3-4 game series, and it's nice to see that, but at the same time, it's like there's other teams, man. I mean, it's a big league.
hmm And
Let's mix it
since
up.
they all make enough money as it is, they're all going to be traveling private, so it's not like they're dealing with commercial flights, which is why they're going to be able to fly to and from a lot of these stadiums too, which helps. I did make one minor mistake. We don't play the Cincinnati Reds. We actually play the Indians after the
Oh,
Cardinals.
whew, oh,
Got,
that's
not a
huge.
huge deal, but it is. Well, I guess it is in a way because those interdivision games make up a lot of ground in a shortened season. So,
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's one thing that we made very, very clear. It's no
hmm
matter what the game and what the schedule looks like for whatever part, like all the games will matter now. Because
hmm
it's not like you can have like an amazing month and then all of a sudden you're back in the pennant race. Like
yeah.
you need to play good throughout, I think. But I wouldn't be, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the contending teams are going to be in a slump. So that's
Yeah,
kind of part of it, right? But with
I
the other side of this, we already have both of our teams, the Brewers and Twins, reporting players that are testing positive, which
hmm
should come as no surprise to anyone. Which I don't know. We were kind of talking about a little bit. There's a little bit of writing on the wall here.
hmm
If we're not even getting official team activities, um, where they're going to be playing, so it's
Yeah.
probably not going to get better. But we'll see how the league reacts to this. I think it's going to be pretty obvious pretty quick whether we're going to have an actual season or not.
hmm it's all kind of hush hush, and unfortunately, I think it's only two for us, but they're both starters. One of which Miguel Sano is a big bat in our lineup. So I mean, if this quarantine period that he's out for really derails, his overall fitness level, and he's got to take games off, that only just delays, hurts us even more,
Yeah, well,
which
not only
kind of
that, but if it
sucks.
happens during the season, I mean, you're going to be missing a lot
hmm
of games, and if you only have 60 games, yeah, it's going to be
And
interesting. So
Yeah, and my favorite commissioner, Mr. Manfred,
Stop.
still is not set on reducing the overall game's schedule moving forward. He wants to keep it at, a minimum of 154, or obviously what it's at now, which is 162. So he has no thoughts on reducing the schedule,
He doesn't have any thoughts,
even
period. But
after. So which is a little frustrating to hear because I think a 100 game schedule would be somewhat ideal. But yeah, you're right. The fact that these players with testing protocols and all of this, here's the one thing and one question I have is what small market team has the best chance to win the World Series this year?
Houston Astros. I'm just kidding. Well, now I'm mad because there's supposed to be some really pissed off fans for that, and now we're gonna be screwed out of that because people are just wanting to see baseball now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, what there won't be any fans in the stands, so it'll be harder to ridicule them. So hopefully, social media game will step up. But
Plus, did you? Oh, so not the last couple points.
please
Did
be
you?
last thing.
Did you hear that they're not allowing players to chew seeds? No gum, like basically nothing in the dugout. They can't argue with umpires. They can't, so the manager can't come argue balls and strikes or
Wow.
judgment calls. Which means, like you said, the Astros players. There's a huge vendetta from every team out there to basically hit their players.
Yeah.
You can't fight. They want to try to stop players from fighting and just obviously getting all aggravated. I don't. This is going to be a unique year, clearly.
All right. Well, if you could do me a big favor and have an abbreviated UFC Fight Island preview for us.
Oh, well, I mean, all we really know is 3 title fights amongst the main card, which is going to be awesome. One of which is a rematch from a previous fight, Holloway and Volkanovski. I think you pronounce his last name. And then the main one, which actually kind of came about over the weekend, this past weekend. Jorge Masvidal was kind of upset with Dana White and the UFC because he stupidly agreed to a fight schedule, had a very good turnout with that fight schedule. So you basically pay for, he got paid his contract was based off, 8 fights, right? He wanted to negotiate after, I don't know how many fights it was, maybe 3 or 4. Dana White said no. But what happened is the guy that was supposed to face Kamaru Usman at this weekend's fight in Fight Island tested positive for corona. So, of course, next in line, Jorge Masvidal, he ended up getting renegotiated his contract, got what he wanted, and now is facing Kamaru Usman this Saturday for the title. Oh God, is it featherweight? I'm not sure the division, but it's going to be epic on Fight Island. It's Abu Dhabi, just outside of there.
It sounds like a reality show, like
it
Survivor
does.
Island.
Exactly, and it's going to I'm tuning in just to see what the whole setup looks like on the ocean front and the sand and all of that. No fans, obviously, but I mean, you're gonna have the ringside girls. You'll have the commentators. Kind of what you've been seeing that's been taking place in Jacksonville and in Las Vegas, but they're still carrying on as usual, basically.
Maybe I can talk the in-laws into letting me watch, but you might just have to fill me in or send me some highlights.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's what I got, though.
Now it's going to be a long slog of NFL news, but it's all different and it's all pretty interesting. So, why else would we cover it, right? Come on. So this was pretty obvious, and I wish they would have done this years ago, even pre-COVID. But the NFL preseason shortened it. The NFL preseason shortened it 2 games. So, we kind of brought this up last week a bit too about how it's going to be a lot harder for lower round draft picks, and I guess lower 6th and 7th round draft picks, and free agents coming off the street, undrafted rookies. Proving themselves because they're not going to be. They even announced earlier that they're not going to be carrying a full 90-man roster into training camp. So it's going to be really rough to make a spot, and making preseason down to 2 games for obvious safety reasons. But
that was a question I had too: is what the roster size was going to be like.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be pretty limited. I mean, and the thing is, they typically make a good amount of cuts as they're going on through the preseason. Like, there's obviously specific dates, when they end up cutting down to what number. But I mean, eventually you got to get down to 53 people. So I mean, it's going to be rough. Basically, if you were on the team last year, you have a pretty damn good shot at being on the team this year. And if you weren't on the team last year, you're going to have to really, really impress or be a high draft pick to be on the squad. So it's going to be kind of crappy. And that's some people care about it, some people don't. I always find it interesting. I actually normally go up to training camp for up to Green Bay just to check things out. I know I've said that before, but some people don't care. Like, it's whatever. NFL Week 1 starts. All right, let's watch some football. Oh, who are these guys? Whatever. I'll figure out as I go. I watch the draft. I pay attention to college football quite a bit. I like to see some of the players develop, and training camp can be really, really fun because there's only the pretty dedicated fans, because it's typically during like a weekday. So you have to take off for work. People drive for a few hours up there. It's a pretty good time. And even though you're not supposed to tailgate it, my buddies and I would typically tailgate it. We'll get a football tossed around, start drinking. Go to the pro shop. Yeah, why not? Here, take my paycheck. So it's, I don't know. This is a messed up year. I would just be happy if we can watch some football, even if we don't get a full season at this point.
It is unfortunate because of, the guys that actually need the money for the most part, that really don't have much else besides football in their lives, are likely not going to get. They're going to have to prove themselves in training camp, which is going to be difficult, especially since now it's all virtual.
Hey, check out my digital workout coach. Pretty cool, huh? I posted up on the YouTubes and TikTok for you. Check it out, coach. And then you got to remember, we don't have the XFL fallback. So if you don't make the team here, I mean, what are you gonna do? Right? I feel like this is like a lot of people thought the XFL was a joke, but this is the reason that I was excited about it, because it's every single major sport has some sort of farm league except for NFL. It's got one of the largest rosters in all of pro sports, if not the largest. So I don't understand how they're going to be compensated. I feel like they're just going to be kind of screwed. So I don't know. We'll see as we go on. Speaking of screwed, Redskins owner Dan Snyder, he's in a bit of a pickle.
That is a great segue.
It is a fantastic segue. Stayed up all night thinking about it. I mean, if you've even made a cursory glance at any sort of sports media outlet in the last decade, you've seen the Redskins in some way, shape, or form being pressured to change their name. Well, in the light of social reform, it's pretty much shit or get off the pot time. Now the co-owners are looking for financiers to get bought out so they can get disassociated with the team. Sponsors are also pressuring Snyder to change the team name. They've said that they verbally committed to thoroughly investigating other options, but I mean, that's
just a PR stunt.
That's the thing. It's like, it feels like they always just buy enough time for something else to happen in the news cycle. Yep. And then people just forget, and then the NFL season's here, and then it's already happening. It's already done.
100% agree.
They've changed the logo a couple times, but like the retro one still comes back. They've changed the jerseys a few times, but we always come back to the same thing. So I think now is the moment of truth, really. If it actually happens, this is going to be the year, because you still have, 2 full months before people are actively watching them on the field. So,
Another question I have, not to put you on the spot, but what's a team name for the Washington football team? What's their nickname if you were to change it?
If I were to change it, I don't think it really matters at this point, because because you got to remember, like, it's DC. The team is a representation of DC. So you could do something like you could do something like this, the Senators, they copy off of or like Washington Cat. Like, you could do something kind of like what the NBA and not NBA. Who's the Senators? Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you could do something like that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like no matter what they do, though, they're gonna try to put them like a minimal amount of effort. Like I've already seen some mock-ups of like the Washington Red Spears, which it's the same thing really, but you just have instead of a face, you have the dude's weapon that was the previous face. Like,
okay.
And changing skins to spears. Like I've just seen some really low effort attempts, and if it ends up being something like that, and then people are satisfied with it, I don't know. It just seems really, really crappy. But I don't know. That's a good question. Don't put me on the spot like that again.
Will do.
No, you won't do. You won't do. Moving right along. Actually, that might be something that we could bring up next episode too, if we have a little extra time. Moving right along here, we got the Bills Mafia. Very sad. The Bills announced that there'll be no fans at games and no tailgating. So those chair-breaking stuntmen and women, they're gonna have a rough year. Not only will they not be able to go to their single outlet for excitement, being in the Buffalo area, but have to be drinking at home a lot more. So maybe the DUIs will go down. That'd be good. Table sales will plummet, but
I don't know, man. I know the Packers are. It seems like most stadiums are going to operate at a lower capacity, or like for the Bills, just no fans in general. I mean, more people are probably going to be packed at the bars, which could just even be more troublesome.
It might. Speaking of Green Bay, Green Bay mentioned that they recognize that there's a possibility of not having any fans, but the expectation and goal is to just allow fans with very limited seating capacity. So again, writing possibly on the wall, but for now they're leaving the door open. They're teasing us a little bit, hoping that maybe things will not come to a head the way that we're all expecting. But I don't know. I'm really hoping that we'll get a shot, but I wouldn't put money on it. I really wouldn't.
No, I don't know how you could at this point. It's tough, and I still think that ultimately, well, the good news is a lot of teams have sent out letters in the past couple of weeks, at least to season ticket holders, about full refunds, and that's across the sports spectrum too. So that helps. You can even defer some of that until 2021, it sounds like. But, I mean, even still, the fact of the matter is you expected a season to be played, and even if it is, you're not going to be in your seat, most likely.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, how low do you have to go? Like, are you doing a fourth, a third?
Yeah.
You know, are you doing, like, every, 6, 7 people? You know, so if I'm going, with a group of 3, but one's not my family, are we not allowed to sit together?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering how they're going to come up with whatever seating format they're going to come up with, and then B, enforcement. Like how do you even begin to enforce this? Me, when I'm even when I was a kid, I learned that when people leave, like you had a baseball game and after the 7th inning stretch, a bunch of people leave, well, then you move up to where they were sitting, and then some people leave in the 8th, and you move down to where they were sitting. Like, if I see a whole empty bleacher, I'm gonna go sit down there.
Yes, and that's another great point. Those are things they're not even thinking about. Guaranteed. They
have to. There's no way you can come this far without even contemplating that.
I honestly, with all that they have on their minds, I don't think that when you're sitting in a large, senior leadership meeting at some name the NFL team, they're thinking, you know what? After all of this, come the third quarter, I think Johnny up in row, the bleachers way up there by Jesus
no, man,
is going to move.
No one's leaving. If you're one of the few people that can get into a game, your ass better not leave that chair unless you're going to tinkle or grab a beer. Because I guarantee that even if they do allow fans, they're going to have to mark up the tickets. This is hurting. A lot of teams, fortunately, have very, 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 very wealthy owners that can absorb some of this. But if they're gonna fight over, $1 million here and $1 million there for whatever reason, of course this is gonna kill them. Not getting ticket income.
that is the one thing that ultimately is hurting the MLB is the fact that without any fans, which is a large portion of the owners, well, just the team's revenue in general,
Hmm.
without any of that, and you include concessions, that's, yeah, another, man, you're making so many great points. That should almost be a segment. Just give you a great point segment or something because they could essentially
Nah,
mark
don't
up
set
the
the bar
tickets.
too high for me. No, 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 no.
Well, yeah, the NFL, theoretically, those individual games could definitely be skyrocketed in price.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're one, it's like getting Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Like, if you are one of the few that are able to go to a game, I feel like A, there's going to be a premium for it, and B, you're probably going to have to stay the whole game because that'd be pretty messed up to take that experience from somebody else
Hmm.
and then not stay. So
Yeah.
but they have to be talking about this because there's no way that you can get all the logistics squared away for all the other crap and not even think about this because how else are you supposed to like I thought I told you like a couple weeks ago like I kept getting emails like
Hmm.
oh this guy buys Packer tickets a lot here buy tickets for September's week 1 and week 2 matchups wait what like
I remember
if
that.
they yeah like if they're still trying to sell me on these tickets and they're still like the tickets they're not like super cheap
Hmm.
so that's just like the NFL season is going to happen, which, as much as I would like to be ignorant and say it will, we're not going to go to a game probably for a while. So,
Hmm.
ay, ay.
There's a
All
lot
this
we could
uncertainty,
discuss.
Ace. All of the uncertainty in the world.
Hmm. I Yeah, and then there's something that's for sure certain.
Yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes might be in Kansas City for a while.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That is for certain. Honestly, I didn't even know that deals could get like this long and this like like just I don't have words for it. I remember it was the story was released a couple days ago, and the
Hmm.
details have been kind of coming through as we've been waiting to broadcast here. But damn, 10 years, $450 or wow, $450 million extension. So
Hmm.
10 years added on to his already like his current contract.
Rookie deal.
Uh,
I think he's got a couple years left, I believe.
Yep, he's got 2 years left, and it's the largest deal in sports history. And I was told that, I read that, I did not believe that. So I went to the old Google machine, plugged it in, and yes, he is by a fairly wide margin. He has the longest and biggest contract. So the added on to his previous contract, total contract value $503 million.
Oh my God. One of the interesting
Yeah.
breakdowns that I saw from I think it was Tom Pelissero on Twitter broke it down. It seems like the contract is heavily backloaded. So within I think it was the base salary doesn't increase um, up to seven digits until 2027. Then it hits 10 million. Now I don't know if that
Yeah,
number
it's
goes against the cap or which
I
does,
think
but it
after 2025 is when it really starts. They can
okay.
kind of it's they say it's team friendly. When you see 10 mil or 10 years, 450 million, you don't think team friendly, but it's
Mm-hmm.
they can maneuver around so that
Mm-hmm.
if something happens and he's literally the only person that can do anything on the team and they need to sign a bunch of free agents or whatever, they can there's wiggle room. And as we've mentioned, apparently the salary cap goes up by 10 million every year anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
The average is a little deceiving though. It's about 42 million average salary per year, but obviously, like you mentioned, it's more backloaded. So, which I think that's just standard practice now.
Mm-hmm.
That's just
I
how it goes. His actual like each check is going to be about 2.5 million though. So
Oh my God. I
each time he gets a check, it's going to be $2.6 million.
I could ask this question. Another question I have, ironically, is when will they finally just take the QB salary off? Like, not even associate it with the team salary cap. I That still bugs me, and I don't know what quarterback was it that set this precedence, but he's making. I mean, that's more than a third, I think, of the salary cap penalty limit.
No, we did the math before. Don't
Is it less? Is it a
rescind that
quarter?
statement. Rescind that statement.
Either way, I mean, it handicaps teams, but I mean, at the end of the day, I get it.
There's nobody. I'm sorry. Like Lamar Jackson, amazing talent. He's zero playoff wins. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with the guy that just had a dominant performance in the playoffs and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The
And he gets
highlight reel.
incentives.
Don't forget, he's also got the State Farm commercials now.
Oh, that's right. Him and
Just
your
for
boy
a point of
A-Rod.
reference, though, because I knew the baseball contracts were always very, very long and always just massive, massive amounts of money. Mike Trout is in second place here. His deal is also 12 years total, but only $426 million. So,
Womp.
yeah, I mean that's paltry sum, meager restitution for the lad. So, just to give a little perspective, but we'll touch on that again. But yeah, Mahomes Megadeal, it's big freaking news. So, whew, we made it. We made it through the NFL. We made it through the show. Oh, no. We have the best part of the show. Everyone get excited, get pumped. We have Ace's Quick Six.
Thank you, Johnny. The first one, and we're actually going to keep this similar to last week where I just rattle off 6 fun facts, because that same source article that I found, I didn't blow through all of them. And these are pretty freaking interesting, believe it or not.
You could just tell people you didn't want to try and you just recycled something from last week. It's okay.
Come on, it sounds better if I put effort into the actually,
All right, we'll edit that out. It's fine.
Yeah, how great of a site I found this article on. So the first one, Steve Young, you may have known this, but his he is the great grandson of Brigham Young, none other than BYU University, which is where he went to college. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Wonder how he got in.
Yeah, right.
Wonder how he passed admissions. Wow.
It makes a lot of sense. Another kind of random fact, which you may or may not know, but 2 days out of the calendar year feature no sports games at all, at least for the 4 major, NHL, NFL, MLB, and NBA. It's the day before and the day after the All-Star break. Which, of course, 2020, this clearly is a lot different of a story. There's been 90 days now without sports, I guess. I don't
Stop. Whatever you want to think about it. Well, are you talking about for each respective sport? Or is that what you're talking about for each individual sport calendar? You're saying that there's...
Yeah, at least when those 4 major teams play. There's no overlap. There's no games out of just 2 days. Is what sense. Yeah.
I thought you meant in our 365-day calendar, there was 2 days that no matter what, there was no sports being played. Which I was I don't know how you would figure that out, but...
Unfortunately, it's just for the 4 major... What they consider in the American and in the US of A, I should say. The next one, what am I on? Number 3, Pittsburgh. Did you know that they're the only city where all the major teams there, which MLB, NHL, and NFL have the same colors, black and gold?
Yes.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. This one is great. MLB umpires are required to wear black underwear in case they split their pants.
As someone who also wears black underwear, respect to the umps.
I thought that was clever. I mean, it makes sense.
And I'm sure it happens a lot more than we'd ever want to know.
Hey, maybe next week I'll have a stat on that for the Quick Six.
Please don't. Please don't.
What am I on? Number 5. This 1986 baseball, Danny Heap was the first player in a World Series to be a designated hitter with the initials DH.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just kind of random, obviously. And another fun baseball stat. Guess what the average lifespan of a baseball is?
Like the physical ball itself?
Yeah, but well, I should say during the course of a game before the pitcher or whoever throws
Oh,
it away, throws it back out, not used for gameplay.
so how many pitches, basically?
Yep. Yeah.
Um, 10 pitches.
Ooh, close. Five. It's usually 5 to 7. They don't give an exact, but if you want to average it, just say
Sure.
6.
Wow.
I've seen
I
some
felt
where
like
it's
it was
1.
lower, but I couldn't remember what the total number of balls is that they go through a game. But I remember it being very high. So,
Oh,
wow.
God. Actually, yeah, that would have been a better stat. I bet the average balls they go through's got to be upwards of like 50.
You take the average number of outs per game, you take the average number of pitches per ball, and
Times it by, so 27
questions
times.
I have, Ace. Questions I have. All right, I think I berated the poor lad enough. Appreciate you. That was good. That was good stuff.
Thank you.
Sure, buddy. All right, friendly reminder again, at AA Podcast on Twitter. Give us a follow. And if you're not already, please subscribe, comment, share, tell your mom, tell your grandma, tell whoever the hell you can, even your dog. Check us out, Apple Podcasts, and literally everything else. If we're not on there, you can email me personally, and I will make sure we're added to that platform. I promise you. And also, we're on the YouTubes too. So that's that. That's our show this week. We appreciate everyone for listening. Don't care how you listen, as long as you do. I'm Johnny. That's Ace, and we are out.
Later.